Former Louisville cop Kelly Goodlett pled guilty to falsifying a search warrant that led to the killing of Breonna Taylor. I think we were expecting this. Goodlett admitted she falsely claimed a postal inspector had verified Taylor was receiving packages for her ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, at her apartment before the raid. The postal inspector said there was no evidence of that happening. Goodlett is the first officer to be convicted in connection with Taylor's death and is expected to be a key witness in the trial of her ex-colleagues. A third ex-detective has also been charged in a separate federal indictment. Goodlett faces a sentence of no more than 5 years in prison, plus a fine of up to $250,000 and 3 years of supervised release. What are our thoughts here? What first goes to my mind is cops lie. They lie to protect themselves.
And that's the case here.
Because a lot of people were, excuse me, Ed, a lot of people were blaming Breonna Taylor, and a lot of people were using this particular evidence to say, no, but she was a part of it, and no, but she was, and that was never true, according to this case. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, and even once you look at some of the facts more in detail, the lying is a polite way of saying it. They more or less made this up, that the suspect or the target of the investigation was receiving packages at her home. That was clearly not true. And even more to the point, once they understood that they were being investigated, this officer and another met the night before they talked to the investigators to get their story straight. And so when you look at it, what it really did is point the killer's home to cause her death. What they're charging her with and the punishment that she can get seems awfully light in this case, but I get it. They've got to go through that. I would also take a look at the state attorney general and what their investigation looked at. I don't know how you perform an investigation as the attorney general and don't come to the conclusion that the officers were lying.
Well, that shows you the extent of investigations that actually go on. Dominique, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the Department of Justice had to go through kind of a side door to get to any kind of accountability in the death of Breonna Taylor by going after this falsification when seeking a warrant. And yeah, Ed, you're right. This is a light sentence, but this woman, this officer would have had a lighter sentence anyway. She had lesser charges. So it makes sense that they would use her to convict the others. And I'm sure that now that she has pleaded guilty, it's going to be a much tougher road for those other officers, because the benefit of the doubt that we give to officers when they repeatedly falsify police reports, a request for warrants, what happens at the scene, and then the video contradicts it, will be undermined by this other police officer and her guilty plea.
Yeah, Dr. Oleka, do you agree with this? Could it help in the prosecution of her or of the co-defendants?
Well, we'll see what the rest of the data unturns on this. We've obviously been looking at this in Kentucky. It's where I'm from, for the soulmates who don't know, for a while. The local news media has been reporting on this for some time. It is important, though, to point out just the difference in the two cases. With the Attorney General, they were looking at a criminal case with regard to what the officers might have done in the death of Breonna Taylor. The federal case is a civil rights violation with regard to how that process played out. That's not, I guess, a distinction that people
lying on an affidavit is criminal. Daniel Cameron did not go far enough in his investigation. That's clear.
Well, those are two different cases. That's also
two different cases, but lying on an affidavit is not good in either case. Surely we can agree on that.
Well, again, I think we can agree that when you have new information now versus what the officers did and what the state was looking at, it's two different sets of circumstances. But again, I think that we're going to find out as this goes on with the federal investigation, everything that was included in this particular process. We don't know everything yet, but I think we all want to see how this turns out.
So no, we can't agree on that, Dominique.
No, the Attorney General will not be bringing state charges in this case.
Because it's all about defending that weasel, Daniel Cameron.
Go ahead, Alicia.
And he is a weasel. And we need to be happy because elections have consequences, that Joe Biden is the president, because Donald Trump would have never investigated this any further. And it's sad that all this was due to redeveloping efforts like a gentrification in Louisville. That's the only reason they ran up in her place. They call themselves getting rid of blight, and blight always means black folks. So they
Well,
ran up in
again,
her daggone house, and
those of
they
you
knew
who
what
are
they were
not from
doing.
Kentucky probably shouldn't speak on it because you don't have a clear understanding of what exactly you're talking about. The issues with regard to blight, that was with the mayor of Louisville, Greg Fisher, who is a Democrat. This particular case started back in the Trump administration. It's an ongoing thing. We'll get the information, the details when it all comes out.
Yeah, but we also know that was the reason why they stormed her like that. They started with her boyfriend.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.